Hi. We are gathered here today to talk about my most anticipated releases for 2026. There are a ton of new releases coming out next year that I have on my radar. I have an entire spreadsheet dedicated to all the new releases that I've found that I'm even remotely interested in. But in this video, we are going to focus on the books that I am most excited for. Books that when they are released, I'm going to be dropping everything that I'm in the middle of to go and read these books. I'm going to be honest with you, most of the books on this list are going to be by authors that I've already read and loved their works before. This year, I requested a lot of ARCs and read new releases by authors that I've never read before, debut authors with books that had premises that I was kind of interested in, and I'm not going to lie to you, a lot of those books were flops. So next year, I'm going to dedicate the time that I read for new releases to authors that I know I'm going to enjoy their books because I have in the past. I don't want to waste my time anymore with new releases that I'm not going to end up loving. That sounds awful because there are so many new authors and so many new books that are coming out that, they have really interesting premises and they sound really good, but I just don't want to be let down anymore. And the more that I read, the more that I really hone into the type of books that I love and the type of reader that I am. So this list of new releases for next year are really catered towards my tastes and books that I think I'm genuinely going to enjoy and have a good time reading next year. I will be going through the books in chronological order that they are releasing. I will say that the books that are coming out in the later half of 2026, I would say September, October on, those dates, I don't know if they are finalized. I think they are still tentative dates. So don't quote me on those dates. These are all dates that I'm finding on Goodreads. They might change next year, but at least we know for right now that they're coming late 2026. Starting in January, there's really only one book that I am the most excited for, and that is The Elsewhere Express by Samantha Soto Yambao. This book is coming out on January 20th. It is by the author who wrote The Water Moon, which was a debut novel that she came out with this year. Really enjoyed that. It was a whimsical fantasy adventure with some romance. This author is Filipina, so love to support, but that book was inspired by Japanese mythology. So it really had that sort of like magical Studio Ghibli sort of atmosphere to it. I'm really excited for this one because the premise sounds really good. It says, you can't buy a ticket to the Elsewhere Express, appearing only to those whose lives are adrift. It's a magical train carrying very rare and special cargo, a sense of purpose, peace, and belonging. Yeah, that sounds right up my alley. Also, this cover is stunning. I don't know who her cover artists for her books are, but her covers have been just works of art. They're beautiful. Okay, February is where things start heating up, for sure. Yeah. On February 10th, Throne of Nightmares by Carrie Maniscalco is coming out. This is the third book in the Prince of Sin series. This is an adult romantasy series where every book follows a different prince from hell and their romances. I absolutely loved book one, which was Throne of the Fallen. I was a bit disappointed by Throne of Secrets, which was the second book that came out this year. That was definitely a huge flop for me. But this next book is following Prince Sloth. He's been featured in the past two books, and I am obsessed with him, and I cannot wait for his book. I am hoping to all the gods and goddesses that this is not a flop. The premise follows Prince Sloth, and it says, Prince Sloth hates leaving his enchanted library. But when a forgotten deity threatens the very fabric of the underworld, he's thrust into a race against time. He must find the Book of Nightmares, an ancient artifact that has the power to break worlds, before it unleashes a deadly game to free its master, the goddess of night. It's his romance with a librarian. I'm so excited for this. I really hope this doesn't let me down. This is the one romantasy series I'm genuinely keeping up with. This author does a really great job of balancing both romance and fantasy. Really excited for this. I cannot wait for Prince Sloth's book. This is coming out February 10th, and I will be dropping everything to read this. Yes, I will. Another book in a series that's coming out on February 24th is And Now Back to You, which is the second book in this contemporary romance series by B.K. Borson. The first book was First Time Caller, which I read this year, and I was obsessed with that book. And this next book is inspired by When Harry Met Sally, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. So you already know my expectations are through the roof. That might make or break it though, because with high expectations, it could be easy for it to flop, but I'm really hoping that it's not going to, because if it does, I'll be devastated. Devastated. This is a romance between two opposing meteorologists that work at the same radio show. I'm so excited for it. I have really high expectations for this. That kind of makes me scared, but I'm hoping that this author delivers. So that's all for February. We're moving on to March. On March 3rd, Cat Sebastian is coming out with Starshipped, which is their first book that is a contemporary romance. This author is primarily known for writing queer historical romances. I've never read anything by this author, but I do have You Should Be So Lucky by them on my physical TBR, and I definitely want to read that before their first contemporary romance comes out, just so I can get familiar with their writing. But this is a very well-known and beloved author. Everyone loves and raves about their books, so I'm really excited to finally get into their stuff. Starshipped is a slow burn enemies to lovers romance between two co-stars on a popular sci-fi TV show. This cover, again, the cover artists for 2026, they're really doing the damn thing, because this cover is iconic. I love this cover design. I'm obsessed. Really excited for this. romance coming out March 3rd. Okay. Also on March 3rd, In Her Own League by Liz Tomforty is coming out. I love this author. She is the author of the Windy City series, which is my favorite sports romance series of all time. And I still have not read Rewind It Back, which is the last book in the series, because I'm still procrastinating saying goodbye to these characters because I love them so much. This book is actually a spin-off of the Windy City series, but it follows the first female owner of a Major League Baseball team, Reese, and the coach, Monty, who we love and have seen in the other books. I love Liz Tomforty's writing. Really emotional with her characters, but really great development. And I love the found family that she has created with this series. I actually was talking to my friend and she suggested that I wait to read this right before this next book comes out, because then at least it won't be a solid goodbye. You'll still be able to, you'll still be in that world. And I'm like, you know what? Genius. I'm gonna do that. So I'm going to read this book right before In Her Only comes out, so that I'm not left completely empty and hollow after. So yeah, really excited for this. Comes out March 3rd. Next, on March 17th, I Love You Don't Die by Jade Song is coming out. I have not heard anyone talk about this. I did not know that this was even being released next year, because I haven't seen anyone post about it on social media. I haven't seen any marketing about it. And that's a crime, because this author wrote Chlorine, which came out, I think, 2 years ago now, and that book was phenomenal, and a lot of people talk about that book. I loved Chlorine. It was such a fantastic debut novel. I'm excited to finally get another book by this author. This one says that it is a lyrical and heartfelt novel about the meaning of love, friendship, debt, depression, and death in New York City. I read a little bit of the synopsis earlier, and it says that there is a throuple involved. Yeah, I need that mess. I need that drama. And I actually have an arc of it from NetGalley. So thank you, NetGalley. Shout out to NetGalley. It's probably going to be one of my first reads of 2026 because I cannot wait to get to this. Sorry, my dog. So yeah, really excited. This comes out March 17th. The last book in March that I'm really excited for is Moonlight Murder by Uzma Jalaluddin. This is the second book in the Detective Auntie Cozy Mystery series that debuted this year. Honestly, if you've seen I don't even remember which wrap up. It's either quarter 2 or quarter 3 wrap up where I talked about Detective Auntie, which is the first book in this series. That book was more than just a cozy mystery. There was so much emotional depth into it. There was so much character development, and it tackled a lot of cultural and generational trauma that I really was not expecting, but I loved it so much. It was a 5-star read for me, and I don't remember the last time I rated a cozy mystery 5 stars, but it was such a fantastic book, and I'm excited to get another book that follows Kosar, which is the main character in this. She's an older character. I believe she's in her 50s or 60s, and she is a widow, and she's basically starting her life over again, and she has found a calling with her observational skills and helping solve murders. It's such a good story. There's so much more to it, but it's such a good book, and I'm really excited to get the second book coming out on March 31st. All right, now we jump into April, which is my birthday month, and we have some good books coming out during my birthday month. The first one being The Art of Loving You by Natasha Bishop, coming out on April 14th. This author wrote Only for the Week, which gave me one of my, not book boyfriends, but book husbands, Rome. Girl, Oh my God, that book was so good. It truly is one of the best romances that I've ever read. A 5-star read for sure. And again, my book husband Rome. Wow. This is the second book in this series. It's following, I think, 2 of the friends from the first book. And this one is a second chance romance between Danny and Micah. Was I denied for an arc of this on NetGalley? Yeah, yes, I was. We're not going to get into it. Regardless, when April 14th comes, I'm dropping everything I'm doing and reading The Art of Loving You. Next, coming out on April 21st, we have one of the only books on this list that is not by an author that I already know, and that is Witch Queen Rising by Savannah Stevens. This one is about a reclusive witch who fled the burden of her bloodline, who rises to be the greatest among them in this lush and haunting fantasy debut. It looks like it's going to take place in New Orleans with vampires and witches. It just seems like a really fun paranormal urban fantasy that I have been craving. I love epic high fantasies, but I have been craving an urban fantasy where there isn't a lot of complex world building that needs to be taking place that I need to use all of my brain power to read. And this one seems really good. And again, comes out on April 21st, and I can't wait to read it. The next book that I'm excited about coming out on April 21st as well is Japanese Gothic by Kylie Lee Baker. This is the author of Bat Eater, which came out this year. I think it came out last year overseas, and then it came out this year here in the States. And I loved that book. It was a really gruesome and gory horror book about the hate crimes against Asian people during the pandemic. So a lot of depth and a lot of emotion in that book, but I thought it was so fantastic. I have read this author's YA fantasy books before, and I was not a fan of them, but I think adult horror is where this author shines because I really enjoyed Bat Eater. And so I'm excited for another adult horror book from them. This one says that it is a wildly inventive horror novel interwoven with Japanese mythology about 2 people living centuries apart, discovering a door between their worlds. Yeah. I'm into it. It looks like it's taking place October 2026, about a boy named Lee Turner who doesn't remember how or why he killed his college roommate, and October 1877, following a young samurai. Yeah, I'm gonna need this immediately. Is this on NetGalley? Because I need to request this. Oh my God, this sounds amazing. Okay, I'm still waiting to be approved on NetGalley for this book, but I need to read this immediately. This comes out on April 21st. All right, the last book in April is another horror book. It comes out on April 28th, and that is Molka by Monica Kim. This is the author of The Eyes of the Best Part, which is another horror book that came out last year, I believe, and it was such a fantastic debut novel. It says Molka is the Korean term for spy cameras, secretly and illegally installed, often to capture voyeuristic images and videos. So it looks like it's about a woman who becomes involved in a relationship with a very rich and wealthy man. Spy cams are involved. Okay. So yes, excited for this one as well. And like I said, I read this author's writing before and really enjoyed The Eyes Are the Best Part, so I'm excited for this one. All right, those are all the books in April. We're moving on to May. Okay, let me gather myself, because on May 5th, on Cinco de Mayo, my queen, my mother, my Lord and Savior, Fonda Lee, is coming out with a standalone sci-fi book called The Last Contract of Isako. The Greenbone Saga, which is Fonda Lee's masterpiece of a fantasy series, is my favorite fantasy series of all time. It will not be topped. It cannot be topped. So the fact that she's coming out with a standalone, thank you, Fonda Lee, for coming out with a standalone. Love you, appreciate you. And it's sci-fi, and it says it's a space opera where corporate samurai fight beneath merciless stars and death is always a mere breath away. There are no words. There are no words to describe how excited I am for this book. Best believe on Cinco de Mayo, I'm going to be doing nothing but sipping a margarita and reading this book, okay? Those are my plans for Drinko de Mayo this year. Don't talk to me. Do not bother me. It's a margarita and this book. That's it. Okay, also on May 5th, I've had a bit of an issue with this author's latest releases. None of them have been quite hitting for me, but Olivia Blake is coming out with a graphic novel on May 5th. Yeah, a graphic novel, babes. It's called Clara and the Devil. It says it's a dark graphic novel romance series. Did anyone else know this was coming out? Because I didn't. I haven't heard a single soul talk about this, but we need to talk about it because a graphic novel by Olivia Blake. I know I said that her recent releases haven't worked for me, but maybe her graphic novel debut will. So yeah, that's coming out on May 5th. And yeah, I'm gonna read it. Was I denied for an arc on NetGalley? Yeah. It's okay. It's okay. I didn't take it personally. But I'm still gonna read it. June. We're jumping into June now. June 2nd. I think this is a book that a lot of people on social media, on BookTube, Bookstagram, are anticipating. And that is The Secret World of Briar Rose by the one and only Cindy Pham. Cindy Pham is a really popular booktuber. I've been following her for years. She's actually the reason why back in 2020 or 2021, I started reading ACOTAR, because she was making all these videos talking so much shit about ACOTAR. And I wanted to see what this book that she was talking about was. Yeah, I've been following her since she lived here in the Bay Area. And it's been really great seeing her grow and her journey of getting to this point, publishing her own book. I love her. She's hilarious. She's one of the best BookTube personalities I think we have. And this is her debut novel. It is a YA fantasy. I don't really read YA anymore, but for Cindy, I will. It says it is a queer retelling of Sleeping Beauty about escapism, grief, and dreaming of a better world. Really excited for this. I think a lot of people have this on their radar for next year. Okay. On June 30th, okay, we have The Winged Game by Sophie Kim. This is a new romantasy series where fantasy meets sports romance, in which the disgraced star of a brutal magical sport must team up with the rival who destroyed her career. Carrie Witchett, the violent rugby-esque game played atop winged beast, was once Taissa Cho's whole life, and she was once the UK's most promising player until her nemesis rival player Keon Locke destroyed her career in a single moment. Okay, the rugby-esque game played atop winged beasts is low-key giving me Quidditch vibes, but on dragons instead of brooms. Anything that is rugby-esque, I want in on, because I am honestly kind of sick of all the hockey and soccer and baseball, football romances. I want rugby. I need a sports romance book about rugby. Have you seen rugby players? Where are the rugby romances? Rugby players are the ones. Rugby is where it's at, okay? So the fact that this is a rugby-esque magical game, here for it. And if Sophie Kim writes it, I will be reading it. July is a stacked month. We have banger after banger after banger for July. Starting off with July 1st, there's not a lot of information about this book, but on July 1st, Talia Hibbert, author of the Brown Sister series, yes, Talia Hibbert, is coming out with a romantasy book called The Last Thorn. And it is her debut fantasy novel pitched as a spicy, magical Beauty and the Beast retelling. That's all I need to know. That's all I need to know. Coming out July 1st. That's all I need to know. I will be reading that. Okay, on July 7th is The Mashup by Laura Marie Myers. This is an author that I've never read anything from. I actually think this might be a debut novel. But if you are a millennial, okay, like I am, you need to read this book. Or at least you need to have this book on your radar, because this book is about the game MASH. If you were in elementary or middle school during the early 2000s, you have played the game MASH. You know what MASH is, okay? Mansion, apartment, shack, house. You know what I'm talking about. You guys, millennials, this book was written for us. Oh my God. It is about this woman on her 35th birthday, makes an unexpected wish, and wakes up inside a MASH game from 7th grade. You guys do not understand how excited I am for this. I used to play MASH every single day with my friends. Anytime that we were like at break or we had like free time in class, we were always playing MASH. I can't tell you how many notebooks I have of just pages of the little swirly and all of the MASH little categories of me choosing what my future life would be. I am so fucking excited for this book. Oh my God, the millennial heart in me is bursting. So yeah, I need to read this book. NetGalley, approve me. I am begging you, NetGalley, to please approve me. I need to read this fucking book. Coming out July 7th. I don't know if I can wait that long. Okay, I need this book now. Next, we have Hot Girl Murder Club by Ashley Winstead coming out on July 14th. This author actually has 2 books coming out next year. I have the arc for the first one, but this is the mystery thriller book that they're coming out with next year. And I love Ashley Winstead's mystery thriller books. And it says this one is a bloody new thriller about success, sisterhood, and demanding justice by any means necessary. What's a girl got to do to get some fame, a few million record sales, and justice for murder? Yeah. I'm here for it. So that comes out July 14th. Next, we have a book coming out on July 14th by the one and only Sylvia Morena Garcia, and that is The Intrigue. I love anything that has to do with con artists, con men, con women. I love a good con. Scheming, plotting, I love that. And this one says that it is a sizzling noir about desire, danger, and greed in which seduction is the ultimate con. And Sylvia is writing it? Yeah. Yeah, I need this. I have the arc of it already, so this is also going to be one of the first books that I read in 2026 because I am so excited for this. Okay, July 14th, Lost and Found by Tara DeWitt. This is the 3rd book in a small town contemporary romance series. I don't think you guys understand how much I love Tara DeWitt. She is one of my favorite romance authors of all time. The first book in the series, Savor It, loved it. The second book in this series came out this year. It was called Left of Forever. That book altered my brain chemistry. And this book is about Silas, which is the brother that I have been waiting and dying for a book for. I don't know what I'm going to do with myself when this book comes out. I will be crashing out for sure, but so excited for this. Coming out July 14th. On July 21st, a book by an author that I just discovered this year is coming out, and that is The Witch Below the Dreaming Wood by H.G. Perry. H.G. Perry wrote The Scholar and the Last Fairy Door, which I read this year. It was a standalone historical fantasy novel that I absolutely loved. It has now become one of the best standalone fantasy books I've ever read, and I really enjoyed this author's writing. I do want to read more of this author's backlist because they have a ton of books that they've already come out with, but I definitely want to put this on my radar because I really love this author's writing. This book is a historical fantasy where dreams come to life and Arthurian legends are reborn. So it looks like it's going to be a King Arthur retelling. I haven't really read any King Arthur retellings besides Legendborn, but that was a YA book that I read years and years ago. This is going to be an adult historical fantasy book with Arthurian legends. And while I haven't ever really been interested in that before, if H.G. Perry is writing it, I'm interested. Okay, there is no synopsis on Goodreads about this book, but on July 28th, Sierra Simone is releasing Devil, which is book 4 in the Priest series. Now, what? I didn't even know that there was going to be another book in this series. I thought the series was completed because the last book in the series, which I believe is Saint, came out like in 2022 or 2023. Like it was years ago. And I thought that that was the last book. A 4th book, and it's MM. Sierra, what's going on? What's happening? What are we doing? Huh? The Priest series was one of the first dark taboo romance series I had ever read, and I still to this day love it with my whole heart. The fact that we're getting a 4th book in 2026 is absolutely insane to me. Again, there's not even a synopsis on Goodreads, so I have no idea what this book is about. Don't have a clue what characters we're following, but I'm going to read it. That's the thing, I'm going to read it. Jumping into August now, we have another YA fantasy book that is by one of my favorite Filipino authors, and that is Nest of Tongues by Randy Rebay. And this follows a pair of siblings who in Filipino mythology are the demons known as the Manananggal, and now they are being hunted by demon hunters. I'm here for it. I hardly ever read any books that have Filipino mythology in it, so I'm so excited for this one, and I cannot wait. I also love Randy's writing. This, I think, is his first book in fantasy. I've loved his contemporary YA books before. They've been very emotional, but they hit close to the heart because they represent so much of my heritage and my culture. So I'm really, really, really excited to see what he does with fantasy. The last book in April is a book I had no idea was coming out. Nor did I think that we were going to get this book, but that is Daggerbound by T. Kingfisher, which is apparently the second book in the Sword Heart series. Now, I read Sword Heart last year, but I thought that was a standalone book. I had no idea that it was the beginning of a series because from what I remember, it ended pretty cleanly. I don't think that there was any sort of open ending that alluded to another book. I'm a little bit confused, but you know what? If T. Kingfisher's writing it, I'm gonna read it. T. Kingfisher, their fantasy romance books, some of the greatest of all time. Miss Ursula, she knows what she's doing when it comes to the fantasy romance. Yes, she does. Make no mistake, this is not romantasy. This is true fantasy romance. It is a fantasy book with a romance subplot. It is not a romantasy at all. And I love that. I need that. I love that. Yeah, that's coming out August 25th. Okay, now we're moving on into September, which is where I think some of the dates are more tentative rather than confirmed, but I'm getting all of this information from Goodreads, so take it with a grain of salt. On September 1st, expected September 1st, Deadbeat by Leigh Bardugo is coming out, which is the third book in the Alex Stern series, and I haven't read Ninth House or Hellbent because the third book hadn't come out yet. I did not want to read the first and second book and then be left waiting for how many years is it now since Hellbent came out that everyone else has been waiting for. I didn't want to put myself through that, so that's why I have put those books off. Now that we finally have the announcement that the third book is coming, I'm excited to read the series and I can't wait to finally start it. It's literally been years in the making, so Deadbeat is finally here, third book in the trilogy. Can't wait for it. Also on September 1st, I think this is a very loose date. It says that R.F. Kuang is coming out with a book titled Taipei Story. It says it's a love story set in the capital of Taiwan. I don't know if I really want a romance from R.F. Kuang just because Catabasis was a bit of a disappointment, and I think it was because of the romance that was in that. I didn't care for the romance, didn't really need it, didn't really want it. It says it's contemporary romance, literary fiction. Okay. It's on my radar. I love R.F. Kuang. I'll read anything that she writes, but I'm a little bit hesitant about this one, but we'll see. We'll see. Not a lot of information on it yet, so still very tentative. But yeah, that's coming out next year. Okay, in October, we have Victorious by V.E. Schwab coming out on the 6th. And this is the conclusion to the Villains trilogy by her. Vicious, which is the first book in the series, one of my favorites of all time. I still have yet to read Vengeful, and I had been waiting for the next book to come out because, again, I didn't realize that Vicious was going to be a trilogy. I thought they were interconnected standalones, but apparently it's a trilogy. Once this book comes out, I'm going to reread Vicious and finally read Vengeful and end the series with Victorious. So that's coming out, really excited for it. Then on October 22nd, we have This Shattered Tempest by Thea Guanzon. This is the third book in the Hurricane War series. Again, another series that I have not started because it is not complete. And now that the last book is coming out, I can finally read this series. I have had such large FOMO with this series. Everyone has read it and I cannot wait to read it because it's written by a Filipino author and I've been dying to read it. I've heard mixed things, but I definitely want to go into it with an open mind and no expectations. But I'm really excited to finally read the Hurricane War series. Okay, on October 27th, Anne Liang is coming out with To Dream in Darkness. This is the author who wrote A Song to Drown in Rivers. Is that what it's called? That was a really great fantasy romance that I ate up. This book says it's two gods strike a bargain that leads them on a journey with devastating consequences. Yeah, I need it. Coming out October 27th. Okay, the last book I have says that it's coming out on December 29th, and that is Lightning and Thunder by Sarah Rash. This author has such great queer romantasy books that I think are so underrated. Everyone needs to read them. But this one says it's Percy Jackson meets Thunderbolts in this action-adventure rom-com where the descendants of gods protect humanity. Zeus's snarky vigilante heir is forced to team up with the globally beloved descendant of Thor. Excuse me? And it's queer? Message received. Heard you loud and clear. I need this book and I need it now. Okay, so those are all my most anticipated releases of 2026 that have been announced. I'm sure there are going to be a lot more that haven't been announced yet, but for what I've seen and what I've heard, these are the ones that are really high up on my radar that I'm so excited. Cannot wait for them to drop. If you have any anticipated releases that I didn't mention or that I don't know about, please leave them down below because I'm always on the lookout for any new releases. I'm so excited for all these books. Let me know if you are excited to read any of these. I definitely want to do a video next year where I do an update of all the books that I read that are my anticipated releases. We'll see if that happens. We'll see if I get to that. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.